Hello, everyone. Welcome to Continence Chat. We have a brand new episode today, and we are delighted to have these lovely ladies with us. We have Amma, who is the home care agency owner with Visiting Angels, running two different locations, one in Fremont, California, and one in Livermore. And Rose is also, I believe, her right hand in running the operations. And we just say welcome to both of you and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
It's a great opportunity to be here. We're excited.
Yeah, we are definitely excited. Thank you so much.
Sure. I'm hoping that you can clarify with me, Amma, what is Rose's role with Visiting Angels? How is it that you're both working together?
Absolutely. Well, and I can maybe also have Rose share a little bit about her background, but Rose started with our team as a caregiver, and she was promoted on as a team developer, so mainly responsible for recruiting and onboarding new caregivers. She did such a great job in that role, and she was recently promoted to client care manager, where she mainly handles the client onboarding. Also, she has a lot of interactions with our caregivers as well, making sure that it's a good fit between client and caregiver. So she's just the all-around operations team member for us.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. I kind of do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I think my unique perspective of getting to work with the caregivers as well as the clients helps us make a better fit. Our scheduler is always reaching out to me to let me, get my advice about which clients work best with which caregivers and how to be most effective and make a good relationship, because that's what our company is all about, right? Relationships. So yeah, that's kind of what I do.
And Rose, if I may add, she's a main point of contact. She's typically the first team member that a prospective lead meets. Rose goes out in the homes and does all our assessments and onboards our clients. So she has that client perspective as well.
Oh, that's wonderful. Maybe give us a peek into how does a family know when they actually need home care services and what should they be looking for in an agency?
That's a great question. I think typically families reach out to us oftentimes when there's been an incident. Perhaps it's a hospitalization or a fall or a family member returning back to work. Typically, there's some sort of life experience that precipitates that initial call. Once in a while, you get somebody that's thinking in advance, looking ahead and say, I think mom or dad may need care, 6 months down the line. But typically, it's within 30 days. That's what we find on average when there's been some sort of experience, some sort of incident that precipitates that initial call. And typically, what leads look for in a home care agency is, number one, do they have the team members with the skill set to provide care for my loved one? I think communication is also really important for clients as well, to ensure that if there's an issue or if something needs to be communicated to the families, that we're prompt and on top of it. At least that's the feedback we've gotten from our clients, why they go with us and why they love working with us, is our communication with them as well. And then also, as I shared, importantly, ensuring that the team members are, well-staffed, well-skilled and educated to provide the needs that the clients need. Each client has different care needs depending on, and each caregiver also has different skill sets. So we try to match our caregivers to our clients' needs based on our caregiver skill set.
I think that is so important. I've got to think where I was recently. Actually, I think it was California, another part, but we had gone into a home care agency and there were multiple home care agencies in this same business strip mall, so to speak. And so we were having really good dialogue with one of the people there. And we said, gee, there's lots of choices right here. What makes a difference? And I truthfully I don't think I would have thought of it until this person said it, and then you just said it again. But she shared with us similar thing of trying to match the caregivers to the different personalities and having the continuity of the same caregiver with the two key differentiators. So I think that is critical to better care. I think it makes a whole lot more sense, and comfort and confidence and all that stuff.
Absolutely. Because one thing we find is that when it's a good match, you know, the clients are happy, the caregivers are happy, and that just extends that relationship, right? And so we that's a very important part for us, an important aspect. We have a third-party surveyor that contacts our clients and our caregivers monthly to ensure, you know, ask how we are as a provider, and then also how we are as an employer, because it's really important for us that both our clients are satisfied with the care that we're providing, and also our caregivers are satisfied, you know, with us as an employer. So that's really important component for our agency as well.
Right.
I had never heard of that before. Is that a common?
Some agencies participate. It's through a company called 𝗬𝗵𝗘. I know, and if you've seen in my email signature, we were awarded Employer of Choice and Provider of Choice last year, and we've gotten an award year over year now. But it is very important for us, and that's something that we continue to choose to participate in. So that's what I'll share.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congrats.
Quite an honor.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm curious, how do you approach the topic of incontinence with the families if they don't bring it up?
I'll let Rose answer that easy question.
Yeah, I mean, it's already a part of a very uncomfortable conversation I'm having with especially new clients. So an individual who has never had care, the questions I ask can sometimes become, you know, they might be a little cautious. So I try to broach it as sensitively as I can. I just usually approach it like, you know, do you need any assistance with bathroom activities or personal care relating to, you know, any kind of incontinence products? And then that kind of will open up the conversation, especially if the family is there. You know, it's always like a sensitive time for me to come and visit. For new clients, I'm always like, I know nobody's happy to see me. But, you know, I think just that conversation and then just warming up to them and letting them get to know myself as well as the company and what our ultimate goals are, kind of lets them warm up and, you know, let me get a little bit into the sensitive topics that they might be a little bit more uncomfortable with. And so, you know, they usually are very open about that, as long as you broach it in a sensitive manner and you take into account their own feelings about that. I think that most of our clients are pretty open about, you know, what their needs are.
And I will just add, I think sometimes during the initial intake, so before we go into clients' homes, we've already talked to them over the phone. So sometimes this incontinence comes up in the initial phone conversation. And then also when we're in the home, it's not the first question we ask, right? Like Rose said, we get, you know, an opportunity to talk to them about maybe some more, you know, lighter topics. And the incontinence topic is further into the discussion. So if at that point it hasn't already been brought up by a family member, then we find a way to, you know, gently ask if they need any assistance with incontinence products. And that helps us to gauge, you know, what level of incontinence that particular individual is. Typically, we can tell the ones that are more severe, moderate to severe, that conversation comes up earlier, right? Because it's one of the reasons why they're reaching out to us. At least that's been my observation.
Yeah, sometimes they'll even voluntarily already have informed me of that. They would just kind of be like, well, our needs are so and so and so and so. And that is a big priority for our clients, because having a loved one provide that sensitive care rather than like a stranger, it might be more comfortable with a stranger. who's experienced, who kind of just goes about it in a methodical manner, like it's an everyday process, and doesn't make it that sensitive issue too big or uncomfortable. And so, it all depends on each of our clients and their family members, as well as their caregivers. Everybody's different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So every assessment, it's completely different from the next.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Are you both finding, we keep reading and talking with folks in the senior living space about people wanting to stay longer at home and caregiver shortages, those types of things. Are you finding in your own neck of the woods that more people are requiring longer periods of time of care to stay in their homes, or are they staying in their homes longer? Is that a discussion that is coming up?
I would say yes,
Mm-hmm.
especially since the pandemic. We saw during the pandemic when loved ones were moving, their family members, mom and dad, back home and opting to bring a caregiver in the home. We are seeing, more and more of extended care. We have several clients who they're pushing it to where, comfortably they can afford to have in-home care versus their loved one, going to an assisted living facility, whether it was a promise, they made to mom and dad several years back or whatever, it is. But we always tell client families, we're here to support you and provide the care in the home for as long as it's safe to do so. We do have some clients where we know it's no longer safe to be in the home.
Yeah.
With severe dementia, where they can't afford that 24/7 care, then it's no longer safe to be in the home. But for those that can afford the care, and there isn't a cognitive issue, or any risk of any major falls and things like that, then we do try to provide the care, increase service hours to what they're able to comfortably afford.
Great. Yeah, that's encouraging.
Um,
I think, yeah. And Amma, how long have you been in business with Visiting Angels?
So I just celebrated my 6th year of the Fremont office this past June, and we acquired Livermore 2 years ago. So 6 years, but prior to that, I also have experience in pharma, biotech, and DME world. So a total of about 18 years in the healthcare space.
Wow.
Yeah, but in a different capacity. But with Visiting Angels, just about 6 years.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you remember or recall? I know we've gone now to many of the Visiting Angels conferences, and again, I know before this we hit record, we thanked you, but I want to say thank you again. I mean, that's a big deal for us to go there and then hear that you're bringing Seni in our continence care program, and I know you've been an advocate of ours, and we appreciate you. I'm curious, why Visiting Angels from your perspective as an owner? Because there are a lot of choices out there of which one are you going to jump in with. And do you recall why?
Absolutely. So I was actually making a transition from the previous DME company that I worked for. I worked in a business development unit, and a family friend had purchased a Visiting Angels agency down in Southern California. And so I was sharing my interests in owning a business, and he referred me, to Visiting Angels, and I reached out to the business development team, and it was just it from there. And it's the best decision to me, that I could have ever made. I love the support from our franchise system, the support not just from the corporate office, but also from fellow owners. I can pick up the phone and reach out to any of the owners, and if I have any questions, the same as the corporate office as well. I always tell Rose and our other team members, let me see what other agency owners are doing. And even after this last conference where I got to share about our Seni, our continence care program, another Visiting Angels owner reached out to me, and I reached out to Susie to get support for her. So I just love that, collaborative support that we get from each other. And so I couldn't have chosen a better franchise system to work with.
Yeah. I like going to your conference. You know, there are really good conferences out there across the board in senior living. But I tell you, the ones that I am really enjoying more and more and more, I call it no line in the sand. And to me, Visiting Angels is one of those. There's no line in the sand between an agency owner and a vendor partner. All of their activities are inclusive. And I think that is, I think it's the smart way to go. And there are other conferences that do the same thing. And then there are other ones that separate it. There's a line in the sand. You're an exhibitor. Here's your time. And here are the people coming by. And it feels more superior, inferior role, or please don't sell me anything. And really, I think in healthcare and senior living, we're all on the same team ultimately to help people. So I'm becoming more an advocate of no line in the sand.
That's right.
But it was noticeable with Visiting Angels. There are a few, I'm going to call it, you know, my top 10, and Visiting Angels is right up there. There's no line in the sand. And you learn so much. I know we learned sitting honestly at breakfast with just a table of 8 people and different things that come up that you otherwise would not know, just golden nuggets, you know. So I'm appreciative of a fan of Visiting Angels. So
well, we're a fan of Seni as well. And I remember it was it the Florida conference, Deanna, that we met?
Yes.
Yes. You were doing your sample. Was it the water bottle one? Yeah.
Yes.
that demonstration.
Your demo. You were doing that demo, and I said I have to stop by and talk to her. And it's been, you know, great since. It's been a great relationship. So I'm also thankful that you were able to attend that conference and we were able to meet.
We're mutually respectful for one another for sure. So yeah, that's great.
And that's what I'm seeing too in your description of interacting with the families. It's so respectful. There's compassion there. And you're approaching the subject not only at the right time, but in the right tone. And you already are going in with an understanding this is going to be maybe a little uncomfortable. And it sounds like you're helping calm the nerves of the individual or the family members. I'm sure they have challenges and concerns and are feeling awkward because, you know, maybe things are not in control anymore. But I'm also curious if there's any lessons that you've learned from your clients in these roles that you both are playing.
Yeah, I would say one thing just to touch on what you just shared, Susie, is part of our goal is to, you know, provide care with dignity and with respect, and to be able to offer our clients solutions, you know, that are aligned with, you know, with our goals and our mission. And I think in continence, we know how that impacts not just the clients, but also their loved ones, their family caregivers, especially with overnight care, when somebody has to wake up multiple times, or just even the challenges of having to reposition and change some of our clients that are bedbound. It's really important to, as for us as an organization, the importance of having, you know, solutions to alleviate some of these challenges. And that's the feedback we've gotten from our clients. One client whose mom recently passed, who end of life, they switched, you know, to Seni. She sent us a text message, you know, thanking us so much for introducing, you know, Seni to them. And she even had some leftover samples and said, can you please share this? She had leftover unused package. So can you please give this to other clients who could benefit from that? And that was so touching, you know, for us, that she loved the product. She saw so much value that of all the things she could give when her mom passed, that was one of the products she wanted to share with others to experience. So that was really impactful.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, I mean, a large part of, you know, what this is going to be something that's going to need to be addressed. It's something that it should be a priority as we get older, especially with individuals like you mentioned with bedbound, because it's now part of health and safety of the client. Pressure sores are a huge concern. And like with the repositioning, all of that kind of ties into with incontinence products, and the type of products that you're using can make a huge difference. And so that we've definitely seen that with the Seni products. I myself like assisted clients while using them, and I mean, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is the goal. That is the goal. Do you also help people that might have disabilities? Do you find, like, I'm assuming a large majority of your customers that you're helping, your clients that you're helping, are older adults, but do you also provide care for could be younger people with special needs, or is it primarily older adults?
Yeah, we don't typically, that's out of our scope of service. We don't typically service pediatric,
Okay.
mainly seniors.
Mainly seniors. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just curious to
Yep.
to learn. So, and is it called in California? I'm noticing every state. I always used to think home care tied with just non-medical, and then healthcare tied with skilled health. And then I was somewhere in a state and healthcare was non-medical. And then there was personal care, and personal care was non-medical. But I've found now state to state,
It varies.
it varies. And then some states require a nurse to be on board even before the agency is set up in certain states. And if you think of that, so if you're waiting for licensure, you have to have a nurse on board. So you're in a holding pattern with a nurse on board. So I'm fascinated by it. But in California, visiting angels, home care, non-medical care in the home, or it could be independent living or community.
That's correct. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, because I got it. Okay.
Home care, no home health. And that's oftentimes confused. The words are interchanged when clients call us, family members. I'm looking for a home health company. We're a home care agency, not home health. And then we go through what the services we're able to provide.
Yeah, got it. Yep. Makes sense. Makes sense. So, yeah. Susie, any final questions for Amma or Rose?
Well, they're just my favorite people when I'm up in Northern California. Love visiting your team members and your offices, and we certainly appreciate you getting the word out there to your clients and to others that we're here to help, and you are obviously doing a great work in your communities. So we appreciate you both, and thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you.
Both as well. Thank you for the opportunity to speak, and we appreciate you too. It was such a pleasure when Deanna brought Susie on board, and we've been working hand in hand, and now with Gail, and we love your team. We love your products, and Rose is your biggest spokesperson. I said when Rose leaves visiting angels, I'm sure she's going to come work for Seni.
Well, we hope you stay with visiting angels for a long, long time. Thank you. So, well, thank you both. We appreciate you being here.
Yes,
Thank you.
Yes, it was a pleasure getting to meet you. Yes, I know. I really am thankful that we were able to meet and discuss this topic. So yes, it was a pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you.